All right, I think we are live. Just going to see if this thing lets me link. Yep, I can make a comment. So I'm gonna dive into this makeup in just a moment. What I want to do is link my color match form. You know what? I think I am going to have to, I was trying to link my form. Nope, it's not gonna work in the comments, but I will do it right after I get off this live, so that if you have not been color matched, which is basically you send me a picture, a selfie in good lighting. The form that I'm going to link to the comments has all of the instructions there, and I kind of just help pick out the right colors so that when you get this makeup home and you try it, you can love it and start using it right away because the colors are right. Because sometimes it's a little tricky when you go straight to the website to actually like, is that the right color? It can be a little bit deceiving what the color is when you look on the website. Sandy, thank you so much for joining. I hope you're having a good evening. Tell me about your day. So, and I think our host, Miss Megan, should be on here shortly too. So I am so very excited to talk to you all about this Saint makeup. A couple of things before we get started. If you're tuning in, tell me hi, just like Miss Sandy did. And that's whether or not you get the opportunity to join live, or if you watch after the fact. Either way, leave me a comment. Just put hashtag replay. I love to know who joins these lives. And also, I like to know if you've heard of this makeup before, if you've tried it, if you're using it, or if this is the very first time that you've heard it. So tell me in the comments if you have heard about Saint makeup. For the purpose of this live, I am going to assume that you have it, although I know Miss Sandy definitely has and loves it. Like me, we are true fans of this makeup. So where to start? What is this makeup? Well, completely convenient and customizable makeup brand that is customizable down to everything. So you can have your entire face, everything that you need besides a mascara. You will still need a mascara for a full face of makeup, whether you not like light coverage or full coverage. It doesn't matter. Everything can fit in one compact. And even the compact size is customizable. So if you're like a minimalist, that might be a smaller compact. If you're the go big or go home type like I am, you can upsize that. This one I think fits like 40 in there. There's several layers to it. But anything, this is actually sort of my vacation compact. It's like when I'm going on vacation, I tend to overpack. So I'll make sure that I have all the little things I might want in my makeup compact as well. So everything is completely customizable. The main star of the show is called 3D Foundation, which is a cream-based foundation system, cream-based makeup system, where you can put everything in one layer on your face. So it's not a heavy makeup. Cream has a very natural finish to it. You can put it all in one layer and then you kind of blend it out. So that's how I'm going to demo it tonight, which I'll get into. They do not just have cream products, because like the eyeshadows I'm wearing tonight are in this compact. Actually, I'm just wearing two colors. I washed my face off and I have some irritation going on. I think it's from a new serum that I'm using, but my face is bare. I do have some eye makeup on, and here is what we're going to really demo today. So again, you can get as much or as little as you want. What tends to happen, you try this makeup, you start off with a tiny little compact like this that just has the 4 colors that you need, and then you become obsessed with it after you try it and you learn it. There's a little bit of a learning curve because you mostly apply this a little bit different than you would traditional makeup. But then what happens is you come to me and you're like, oh, I already need a bigger compact because I need more colors and this, that, and the other. So I definitely recommend like not going any smaller than an 810 compact, and really probably not any smaller than a 1210 compact. But, and what do I mean by 10s? Well, the makeup, when you get the makeup in the mail, it comes in a tin like this. and you pop it out, and then this is the shade, right? And then this is a magnetic compact. So you just pop it into your compact. That's part of what makes this completely customizable, and you are good to go. So give yourself some room to grow in your compact. But at a basic level, if you're just trying this makeup out for the very first time, generally, I'm going to try to like hide all these lights. Generally, you're going to start with 4 colors. You have, and in Saintland, these are called highlight colors. This is a contour color. So this is a highlight and contour makeup. It's really about giving you full dimension in one layer. So we use the terminology highlights and contour. And then this is a lip and cheek color. It's completely dual purpose. Quite frankly, you could put this on your eyes as an eyeshadow. So that's one thing that you will grow to love about this makeup brand, is it's incredibly versatile. You can use your contour to fill in your your brows, or maybe for an eye shade color. So it's very versatile. Just because it says it's one thing doesn't mean that's the only way that you can use it. But again, just trying to keep it simple for the sake of those who may be introduced to this makeup for the first time. You get 2 highlight shades. So when you're trying it, you usually start out with 4 colors. And that consists of, look at me, I'm in the mirror double. I'm trying to cover myself up. 1 highlight shade, which is kind of the equivalent. Hey Megan, yay, thanks for popping on. Going over the basics here. So your basic 3D foundation would be a highlight shade that's sort of the equivalent of your foundation shade. So it's going to match your natural skin tone the most. And then you get a second highlight shade, which is mostly for brightening up your face. So consider this maybe like a concealer in the traditional makeup world. So you get 2 highlight shades. One is your foundation type of shade, and another is your brightening shade or your concealer shade. And then you have your contour shade, and this contour is intended to create some dimension and shadow on your face in areas that you kind of naturally already have them. So it's just about sculpting your face a little bit and making that more prevalent. So these 3 shades make up sort of, instead of foundation, concealer, contour, and that would be right there, 3 layers. You would put all of these on in 1 layer, and it makes up your foundation. And what you're left with is a perfectly dimensional, full face of makeup with just 1 layer and a really little bit of product. And then just for a pop of color, we have a lip and cheek shade, and there are so many different options with this. I just picked one for the sake of this demo, but again, this is sort of like your basic, and then maybe you pick up a brush, right? And the thing about Saint brushes that is awesome, as you would expect with this convenient line, is that the makeup brushes are convenient too, because they are and they have a lot of them, and they're all dual-ended. So every makeup brush is like 2 in 1. When you fill out the color match form, which again, I'm going to link in the comments after I'm done with this live, I'll ask you about like your makeup preferences. Do you like light coverage? Do you have any areas that you're trying to conceal? I want to learn a little bit more about you. It helps me make the right recommendations, and that includes the right recommendation for a brush, right? Because some of the brushes are really good for achieving a light coverage or a light to medium, and then others are good for a medium to full. I think you get the point there. So if you're starting out at a basic level, you want to have your 4 shades: foundation, concealer, contour, lip, and cheek. This is going to create a full face of makeup, and then maybe pick up a brush. And then today I have these 2 eyeshadows on, just so that when we're done with this, my face is going to consist of everything that's in this compact and nothing more. We can add a little bit of bronzer if you want to add bronzer. This is a lip conditioner, which, it's just like if you get dry lips, just like having chapstick in your purse or anything. There's a setting powder, and again, these are 2 eyeshadows. So just giving you an idea how you can fill this up. Honestly, there are so many different options though. They have a brow wax, illuminators, which are kind of like what you would call a highlight in the traditional makeup world. So anyways, let's get started. Now, there are a lot of ways that you can apply this makeup, but it is, because you do generally apply this in 1 layer and it's cream makeup, my favorite way to teach women how to apply this makeup is referred to lovingly as the cheetah hack. And the reason it's called the cheetah hack is you just put a bunch of dots either using your finger, or today I'm going to use the smudge brush because it has the same effect. Strategically placing these 4 colors where you want them. Like, you're gonna look like a cheetah, so it's a trust the process situation, and then you just sort of blend it all out. So let's get started. I like, and again, you can use your finger and you don't have to apply it this way, but this is a super way to learn how to apply this makeup, because one thing about cream makeup is it's very pigmented. And so this might look small, but these things pack a punch. This like foundation shade, for example, is going to last you anywhere from 4 to 6 months. Your contour and your lip and cheek, like upwards of a year. So you're thinking, what, how in the heck that 110? Because it's so pigmented. And at the end of the day, you really don't need a lot. And so there's a little bit of a learning curve with this makeup, because most of us, myself definitely included, have a tendency to put on too much of it when you're first starting. And so that's another reason I like this cheetah method as a way of teaching, is because number one, it doesn't make highlight and contour as intimidating as it can be for some of us, just showing you exactly where you put it. And number two, it helps prevent putting too much of the product on, which for those of us just trying a cream makeup for the first time, we tend to do because we don't realize how pigmented it is. So I'm starting by dipping my brush into the wrong color. So that's how you want to start. No, I'm just kidding. All right. I like to start applying with my darkest shade first, which is my contour shade. And generally speaking, contour goes in the perimeter of your face. You might contour your nose to create some definition, and there's a little trick you can do underneath your lip to give that poutier effect. And again, contour is all about shadow. So unlike bronzer, I'm just going to start putting this like in dots on my face. That's what makes this the cheetah hack. And it's going to kind of look like a 3 when I'm done. I'm going to do right underneath my cheekbone. I'm going to carve out my jawline, and I'm going to be left with a 3 on either side of my face. So a bronzer looks similar, but it is a warmer shade, and it goes in different places on your face because a bronzer is intended to give you a sun-kissed look, whereas a contour is creating dimension by shadowing your face a little bit. So this is the contour color. I'm just putting on some dots because we're showing the cheetah method here to give you, so put it on your forehead, the line of your forehead. Is that the right way? Does that make sense? And then I'm kind of just going down right at my cheekbone, maybe a little bit below my cheekbone. And here's one thing with contour. When you're chiseling out your cheekbones here, try not to go much further than like the outside of your eye, because this is creating a shadow. So one tip here, is that like a blemish or is that contour? Okay, is kind of think about not putting it much past your eye, if anything, not past right there, because you don't want a shadow smack in the middle of your face. And when I blend this out, I'm going to focus on blending it up because I don't want to create a 5 o'clock shadow, right? So generally speaking, you put these colors where you want them, and the blending is a little bit more of a tapping than it is like moving your brush all the way around. So here I've got that side. Uh-oh, I just heard my daughter. I heard a high-pitched squeal. I think it's bath time. So that's the 3 on my face. I've kind of chiseled out the outer perimeter of my face. And this is a little hack, by the way. I like to take whatever's kind of left on my brush, and this is going to look crazy, but like swipe it down the center of my neck. This is going to create like a slimming effect, a little. Do you see that? And I did not even blend it. I literally just swiped whatever contour was left on my brush. It looks like a shadow, and it still needs to be blended out. But you can see that it has that shadow effect. So love, love, love contour. Do not be intimidated by it. If you have any trouble trying this makeup, I'm here for that. I help out. We can jump on a FaceTime together and apply our makeup together, but it is very simple. All right, so optional step here, but I like to kind of slim my nose a little bit. And the way you do that, contour your nose, is I'm gonna create a shadow, and I'm not doing any blending. So again, I'm gonna look a little bit wild and crazy as I'm applying, but I'm kind of on the bridge of my nose, not on the outside of my nose, because that would actually widen my nose. I'm gonna make two thin strips like on the bridge of my nose to contour that. And as I'm giving my contour tips, by the way, if I apply, so in any case, you want your contour to be kind of at your cheekbone, but if you have a rounder face like I do, and I'm wanting maybe more of a slimming contour effect, then you go in more at a angle or horizontal angle like this. If you have a long, narrow face and maybe you want to actually create a little bit more width in your face for that reason, then you're still going to contour at your cheekbone, but your line is going to be more horizontal. Did I say horizontal just a second? Your line's going to be more horizontal if you want to have a wider face, and a more vertical if you want to do that slimming effect. So, and then another little tip, if you want it, is you can put a little bit of a shadow right underneath your lip. I'm not really blending this out right now. I wanted to blend it just a smidge so you can kind of see how it's going to end up looking like a natural shadow, not a goatee. But you can put a little bit right there and you'll get a little bit of a pouty lip effect. So there's all kinds of fun things you can do with makeup. That is sort of the point of highlighting and contouring. So this is where the contour goes. I've place that where I want it. I'm still not going to blend. And by the way, this stuff blends beautifully regardless, but it does blend nicely when you put everything all on first and then blend it out, because you're giving the cream makeup time to sit on your skin, which is warm, and it just gets, you know, even more prepared to be blended out. So I started with my darkest color. The next thing I like to do is actually go in my lightest color, so my brightening shade, and start brightening up some areas on my face. And so for most of us, we brighten sort of like in a cross on our face. We do the center of our face basically. So you're shadowing the outside and you're gonna brighten the center of your face. Does that make sense? So for me, and probably for you too, because it generally is the same for all of us, we might make some tweaks here and there, but in general, we try to draw attention in the center of our face and therefore draw some light there. So I do down a little bit on my forehead, a little bit down the center on either side of where I just put the contour, and then I'll put whatever's left there on the center of my chin. So there's my first line. And now I'm going to do either both corners of my eyes or all the corners of my eyes. All right. And you don't need a lot. You don't need to do that whole big, like you've seen people do like big, huge triangles of brightness. You don't. It's not necessary, and it's not even the best for those of us with more mature skin, because it can really highlight wrinkles and things like that. So you're just going to brighten right there. And everything is just still in dots right now. Nothing too complicated. So I've got my darkest contour shade, my lighter brightening shade, and then the last piece is, well, I'm gonna put the blush on in one layer too. In real life, I usually put my blush and bronzer on second. Maybe what I'll do is I'll do one side of my face in truly one layer, and the other side of my face I'll do just I'll leave the blush and the contour and the bronzer as my second layer. Why not? Let's do some stuff live. Let's see how it goes. So anyways, before I move on to my lip and cheek though, I'm going to dip into what is my main highlight shade. So this is the shade that is sort of closest to what would be like a foundation shade. It's the closest to my skin tone. And I'm just going to kind of start dotting in the places where I haven't put my contour or my main or my brightening shade. And I'm not covering my whole face. I hope you can see that I'm just kind of dotting some of those areas because this is going to blend out nicely. So I don't need to cover everything. I'm just putting some product down so that when it's time to blend, it can meet up with, you know, some of those other colors. What is that? I guess that's a blemish. I also recognize that I have some more redness than I normally do today when I took off all my makeup. I think I might have mentioned this at the beginning of the video, but I'm using a retinol at night, and I think it's just, I'm going through the burning phase of that. It's kind of aggravating my skin. So again, even if you jump onto this live after the fact and I'm not live, if you have any questions about this makeup, comments, any of that, pop them in here, or you can send me a message. I will come back in and answer those questions for you. All right. So that is, you know, I told you it's a trust the process kind of makeup. That's pretty much where you're going to be left at. So, oh, I forgot to do like right under my nose right there. And I should probably, I get those broken capillaries, so I'm going to put a little bit of color right there, right, to cover that up a little bit. All right, so I said I would do one side of my face, like truly one layer. So what I will do is go into this lip and cheek color, and I'm going to put it literally right there above my contour. I guess I'll just take whatever's left on here. This is like pretty pink. Sometimes what I'll do if I find like the color is too bright for my liking, but still very pretty, I'll just like combine it with maybe a bronzer shade or another lip and cheek and make my own new shade from it. So very, very versatile makeup, like I said. And then in the spirit of truly making this one layer and just kind of showing this, how you can do that with this makeup, I'm also going to take a bronzer color and I'm going to apply that. So this is sort of, it's getting kind of crazy, right? A little complicated. I got bronzer, lip and cheek, and then contour. So that's how you would apply this if you truly wanted literally absolutely everything in one layer. Like I said, I tend to like stick to my 2 highlight shades in my contour, and then as a small light second layer, I'll do like my bronzer and my lip and cheek. So we'll do one side one way and the other side the other way. What brush are you using? So Sandy, this brush is the, I thought, did I say it earlier? Now I've completely forgot it. Smudge brush. This is the smudge brush. And this brush, both sides, one side is like more domed and one side is a little bit more of a flat edge. It's super for eyeshadows, but a lot of girls like to use this to do the cheetah hack. So instead of using their finger, they like the application this way, but maybe not so much using their finger. So the smudge brush is great for that too, or just for your eyeshadow, or maybe like contouring your nose, something like that, that's a little bit more a precision contour. So now I am going to get into actually blending it, and this is where all of this magic comes together. So interestingly, I like to start with my dark colors when I'm applying it, but yeah, I'll have to check and see if you've got that one or not. But when I am blending it, I like to do the opposite. I like to start with my lighter shades and then save the darker shades for last. So here we go. I'm just gonna start with my, it's a little bit hard for me to see what the heck I'm doing in that phone. So if you see me looking this way, just know that I'm looking at my actual mirror. Looking at the actual mirror sometimes, just to make sure that things are coming together the way I'm thinking that they're coming together. Okay, so just some of these lighter shades, blending that. Did you see how easy, like where are the dots? Where are the dots? They've already started to blend together with this main shade. And again, the reason I really, really like to teach women how to apply using this dot method is because it's almost a surefire way to make sure that you don't apply too much makeup, because we just have a tendency to do that when we're trying this makeup for the first time, and then you tell me I don't like it, it just seems like it's moving around a lot, I don't know if it's the right color, all that stuff. Well, a lot of times that's because we just put a little bit too much product on, and that's okay. A lot of us do it. I certainly did it. I have probably my first picture when I applied this makeup to prove to you that I did. But it is completely layerable too. So if you apply using this makeup and you feel like I need a little bit more coverage, then add a little bit more. That's fine. Again, I just like to show this way because it helps ensure that you don't start off using this product by trying to put too much of it on. So like blending together like a dream. This, by the way, is the detail brush. I love this brush. And Sandy, I don't know if you have this one or not. I have to go back and look. But this detail brush is super for getting like a medium to full coverage look. And it has this wider sort of flat side, which is a dream for contour, especially if you're not doing the contour using this cheetah method and you're just kind of dipping it straight in, because you're going to get a really nice crisp line. So you can go in, you see how straight that is, and like hit the sides of your nose with it, right here on your cheekbones, and like it helps make sure that you're actually going where you want it because of that nice detail. And then the other side is a little bit more fluffy, tinier brush, which is great for like blending out some of like maybe the more specific areas, like underneath your eyes or around your nose, that sort of thing. It's very, very pretty. And do you see, like I'm even holding my brush at the very end, which just goes to show you, because when you hold your brush like that at the very end, you're using the least amount of pressure, versus if I was like right here doing this, I'm like, oh, it's blending so easily. What technically there's a lot more pressure naturally just by the fact that my hand's right there. So just showing you how easy this cream really does blend together. And like all these dots are just disappearing. Let's see, what do I want to do? Do I want to go ahead and try to do that little bright spot in the center of my nose? Let's do it. And then I'll worry about that contour and fixing it. Look, I made my nose crooked through the contour. We'll fix that. All right, all of my lighter spots are officially blended in, and now it's time to move on to the contour, which is the scary part. Most women are like, if you don't highlight and contour, it is the contour that's like, you've lost me. What is that really dark color that you want me to smear all over my face? You're crazy. But once it blends out, it just accentuates. It looks like a shadow, and honestly, we're putting contour in places where our face naturally has shadows anyways. We're just defining it out more. So if anything, it just darkens an area that already has a shadow. Now, with contour, a couple of things I want to tell you about contour. Your contour formulation is a little bit thicker than your highlight formulation, and they've designed it that way on purpose, because your contour, you don't want it moving around and all of a sudden, like, what was this really snatched cheek all of a sudden is like a 5 o'clock shadow, right? So it's meant to stay where you put it, but it still blends nicely. And when you're blending, regardless of which of the colors you're blending out, right, you really are doing more of a tapping motion than you are a swiping motion. There might be a little swiping involved, just kind of getting the color where you want it, but for the most part, I'm just tapping, you know? And then here's that random line I put down my neck. And so I'm just gonna blend that out. And then I'm left with this very subtle shadow that is creating a slimming effect down my neck. And so total optional contour right there. It's just a little hack that I like to share. So I'm doing like maybe small circular motions combined with a little bit of a tapping motion to blend out this contour. And what I'm left with is something that looks literally just like a shadow. It doesn't look like, oh, your makeup doesn't match your neck and this, that. No, it's just a shadow and that's all that it looks like. Very, very pretty. All right, so with your forehead, so again, keep your contour kind of where you placed it. I'm not smearing it down my neck. I'm kind of keeping it where it was and just doing some taps. So with my hairline contour, same thing, I'm mostly doing tapping. And when I'm tapping, I'm pulling into my hairline, right? So I'm tapping and doing a little bit of a swipe to blend it into my hairline. Do you see how pretty that blend is? So I have 3 colors on my face, actually 4 or 5 if you count this side of your face. And the blending is the magic. It's easy, it comes together. I also have a skin finish right now. It's not a powder finish or a cakey finish. This makeup is incredible. And there's only 11 ingredients in the highlights and contours. So it's skin healthy too. You're not putting a bunch of, if you look at your ingredients on your makeup, I would bet you it's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 30, if not more. It's just, and we can't pronounce half of it anyways. So I feel like that speaks volumes that there are so few products in the ingredients in this makeup. All right, there's a dot, blend that up. Okay, so let's do this cheekbone. I'm gonna do this side last because of this little trifecta here. I am going to tap, 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 and if I am swiping, it's a little bit up, if that makes sense. So it's mostly a tap, and as far as where I'm willing to swipe it, it's a little bit more of an upward angle, kind of blending it into that space, because if I were to blend downward, I would be creating that, illusion of like, again, a 5 o'clock shadow or something like that. So this is it. Look at that. And I'm just, don't look at the side of my face. Don't even look at my nose. I haven't blended out my nose. You can see that that 3 that we created is this very subtle shadow now. And the brightness is it's all subtle, but this is kind of what makeup is doing, right? We're putting that brightness in the center of our face and the shadows on the outside, and you're sort of drawing attention closer to your eyes. All right, so let's go ahead and see if I can fix this crooked nose that I gave myself. And when I'm blending out my nose contour, no big deal. I'm just kind of keeping it in the same spot that I applied it. And if anything, I actually push it more towards the center. Does that make sense? Like I don't really pull it down. I just kind of tap it where I applied it. And if I feel like I need to like blend out some of the product, I'll blend it towards the center of my nose some more. Super simple. And look at that. That's a fake little light that I created with the light highlight shade. Just a lighting trick. All right. So this side of my face is going to have bronzer and a little bit of a lip and cheek color. And this is where you're going to see sort of the difference, right, between a bronzer and your contour. So this is a bronzer, it's warmer, and it goes a little bit inward at the higher part of my forehead where I might naturally get some sun. I'm just gonna tap, 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 tap. Blend that in. And can you tell is the question with this lighting. Let me make it. Now I have this more bronzy, sort of summery glow there, and I just have my shadow here and not that bronze look. So your bronzer is usually applied like right here, right? Where you would get some natural sun. And so that hopefully kind of you can see the difference. A little bit more of a bronze look here. I'm missing it right here because I didn't apply it to that side of the face. All right, here we go. Here is this blend. So with these 3 colors, I have my contour, lip, and cheek, and bronzer, and I'm just gonna kind of tap it where I applied it. Some of this definitely will blend together, but it all looks pretty together. And it's where you would put it anyways, even if you ended up doing this in multiple layers, right? So it's fine. That's it. Look how pretty that is. a more glowy bronze blush look that I just don't have on this side yet, but I'm going to match it right now. And what I'm going to do is use my blush and bronzer brush. This more fluffy side is great for the bronzer. That's how we say that word. I'm just gonna tap, tap, tap. It literally does not, can you see how little I put on there? It does not require a lot. And then I'm gonna kind of put what I did pick up on that brush down first and then start blending it. And just creating more of a bronze and also evening out since I already had it on that face. Now, what I do like to do is if I notice, and I think it looks okay right now, but if I notice that I bronze myself up and maybe my neck I think is, you know, I want to blend in some of those colors, you can take a bit of that bronzer and just hit your neck with it, and that way you're balancing between your face and your chest, right? Creating a little bit of balance, making sure that there's no major discrepancy between, so it all just kind of merges together a little bit better. And then the other side of my blush and bronzer is great for my blush, so I'm going to just dip into this and apply some of that blush. So you can see, like, results wise it's pretty comparable whether or not I'm using, oh, good night, Sandy. Thank you for tuning in. It doesn't matter whether I'm doing it all in one layer, if I'm doing it as a second layer. So that is how this makeup works. Oh, you know what? Let me just show you one last thing. Again, the lip conditioner, but if you're, I think I'm combination skin, honestly, but I err more on the side of oily. So if you are an oily gal like myself, you can, if you want, set this with like your favorite setting powder, that's fine. But just know that Saint also has an incredible setting powder that fits right into your compact, so you can still have that one compact convenience, and then you can hit that, set your makeup, and kind of combat oiliness with the setting powder too. So for me, I mostly get oily in my T-zone, so I like to apply just a little bit. You saw me apply it like in the center of my forehead, maybe a little bit right here, and then right here on my chin, and that's it. It's a very, I'm going to get up close and personal with you, a very natural looking finish. It's probably one of my favorite things about this makeup, actually, is the glow that you get. I call it the Saint glow. It's just, it's honestly, it can't be beat. You're not going to get it with powders and liquids and you know, layers and layers on makeup. Is not. So part of the reason you can get this glow is because it's the cream makeup and because you're really not using a whole lot of it, so you're definitely not going to have that cakey look. So that is it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know if you want, if you need help picking colors. In fact, let me help you pick the colors, because one thing about this makeup is what you see in the tin, it can be a little bit deceiving. Like for example, my brightening shade is not, in fact, that bright when I apply it. So I'm very familiar with all of the Saint colors, and I can kind of help. I know what this looks like in real life and how it blends out. So my color match form is there to help make sure that you get the right colors and you love your simplified new makeup routine as soon as you get it in your mailbox. So thank you for joining. Fill out my color match form so I can get those colors to you. And I hope you all have a wonderful day, evening, night. Goodbye.